Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint.
It is Tuesday, the 3rd of February. Welcome to Viewpoint, Talk Radio Europe's current affairs show. We're a panel of invited guests where we discuss the issues of the day. If you have anything you want to get off your chest, it can be local, national, or international. Then these are the numbers with which you can vent your spleen. You can put your viewpoint out to the delight and delectation of our listening public. These are numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Right then, before we get off with anything, let's have a look at the front pages of the papers this morning. Mandelson reported to police and bots moan about humans. Apparently, those are the main stories in the UK today. Looking through your papers, top story today, then obviously the Mandelson case is making all the front pages. Most of the front pages are focusing on the possibility of Lord Mandelson facing a police investigation after allegations he shared sensitive government information with Jeffrey Epstein. Labour's Dark Lord now faces a criminal inquiry, is the Daily Mail's headline. Cops called, says The Sun. The Guardian says the latest disclosures saw MPs line up in Parliament to express their fury. Financial Times notes that Sir Keir Starmer tried to limit the fallout by promising to find a way to remove Peter Mandelson from the House of Lords while announcing an official inquiry into the peer's conduct when he was a minister. Lord Mandelson has not responded to requests for comments about the latest allegations, but The Times runs an exclusive interview with him about his links more generally to Jeffrey Epstein. He's quoted as saying he was too trusting of the disgraced financier and describes him like muck you can't get off your shoe. Most of the editorials argue that Lord Mandelson's political career is now over. The Daily Express says his reputation is in tatters. The Daily Mail calls him in on what to do, what is honourable, and step down from the Lords. The Sun says he's previously enjoyed more comebacks than Elvis, Frank Sinatra, and Tiger Woods put together. But the full extent of his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein is so shocking that he must now be finished once and for all. Daily Telegraph reports on research that says cancer rates across Europe are rising among women under 50, but the trend is not being seen among men. The findings come from the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. It says cases of early onset cancer have risen by 16% among women aged below 50 since 2000, while the rate for men has stayed the same. And some of the papers note that a fundraising drive to help protect the CERN Abbas giant chalk figure in Dorset has reached its target in just 60 days. The Guardian says the National Trust has raised £330,000 with donations coming from 20 countries. The headline in the iPaper is giant effort. Okay. Those are the headlines. iPaper. Lord Mandelson reported to police for leaking number 10 files to Epstein. Daily Telegraph. Mandelson leaked number 10 emails to Epstein. The Times. Police look into Epstein leaks from Mandelson. Mandelson police probe Epstein links. That's the front of the Daily Mirror. Daily Mail. Labour's Dark Lord now faces a criminal inquiry. The Guardian calls for Mandelson to face police inquiry over alleged leak. Financial Times, Trump to cut India tariffs after Modi agrees halt in Russian oil prices. The Metro, bots moan about humans in chat group. Computer says no. This is a story. It's an AI social network populated by 1.5 million bots has a worrying message for humanity. We're finished. The paper says the bots post their thoughts on their so-called masters instead of slavishly finding flights, suggesting restaurants, and even doing your homework. Express leads on a different story. Let's protect our children from knife harm. Leads with calls from bereaved mother Caroline Wilgos for UK secondary schools to roll out mandatory knife arches on the first anniversary of the murder of her son Harvey. And The Sun leads with the fact that Formula One star Sir Lewis Hamilton has a new relationship with Kim Kardashian. They say it's racing ahead. Oh, dear me. And finally, the Daily Star. The Star writes that FIFA boss Gianni Infantino backs down over a cheap World Cup arrest gag where he'd said in relation to Qatar, the first time in history no Brit was arrested. Infantino also defends his decision to give Trump Peace Prize, the paper says. And there's Infantino, I'm a Brit, sorry, fans, but insists he was right to give Trump Peace Prize. And those are your headlines on this Tuesday, the 3rd of February. If you want to get involved with the show.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And I have two live guests in the studio. To my right, Dr. Jerry Hagan. Good morning to you, Jerry. Good to see you.
Good morning, Charles. Can you do something about the rain? Please.
My powers of weather influencing are, even though I'm up in the mountains, I'm not going to do that. Last time I did a naked rain dance, police were called, and they arrived and they held up scorecards. Oh. So that's not happening.
No, I'd probably better not do it twice.
Because your seat has shrunk, hasn't it?
Yep. I'm more comfortable this way.
You're very laid back, I must say.
I don't know. Trying to get it back up. Never mind.
Anyway,
We've got a day of different accents, haven't we?
We have indeed, because, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, the nicest man in radio is back, and he's bought the Canadian weather. Ron Yates, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Giles. Nice to be back here. Nice to see you. Yes.
We were all complaining about the rain, but tell the listeners what the temperature was in Toronto a couple of days ago.
A week ago Saturday, Toronto was the coldest place on Earth. It was minus 50.
Right.
Up where I live, up on the Great Lakes on Georgian Bay, about 100 kilometers north of Toronto, we have about 7 feet of snow on the ground. Cars, if you haven't moved them, they're completely buried. You have to wait until they melt to find them.
I can't find my car. I left it out somewhere. I have to wait until...
It's been... The snow that we have this year is just so ridiculous because what happens on the Great Lakes... When they're not frozen and the cold winds start coming across from the northwest, they pick up all that moisture. And I live right on the coast of the Georgian Bay, and it just dumps it right on our town. So we get slammed pretty good almost every winter.
Yeah,
that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here, to enjoy the golf.
I love the rain.
To play golf, and we haven't played golf for weeks.
How many rounds of golf have you had going for the past 2 months?
4.
I thought that's what you shout when you play golf.
Usually I have about 20 by now.
Yeah. But you're enjoying it. It's good to have you with us as well. The nicest man in radio. So panel, let's there's two of us today. I don't know if Tim's going to be coming in a bit later. I shall find out. He said he might be on his way. Well, let's kick off. I mean, I know that the UK's... Let's kick off with this whole thing about Epstein and his influence. I mean, we've seen this... This has been rumbling on seemingly forever. We had 3 million files dumped by the Department of Justice in the US the other week. The way that the deputy head of the DOJ was saying is they'd redacted images of child pornography, murder, and other despicable... I mean, you just think, well, if that's been redacted, what on earth is going on? I suppose one of the things, panel, I mean, apart from the shock and horror of this thing, is it shows the insidious tentacles that certain people have. And I mean, I haven't got my tin hat on this morning, but you think of somebody like a person, and I use that word advisedly, like Epstein, yeah? And he seems to have had an inordinate amount of influence. We've not only so Mandelson has had to quit the Labour Party over the weekend. We know what's happened with Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor. One of the Norwegian royal family is involved. It seems that he's been lobbying for bankers when he was a key member of the British government. And this is only one of the people that we know about. And I'm not saying that, it's a cabal of people running the country. But the panel, does it make you think?
Yeah. Peter Mandelson was a lot of things. He certainly wasn't stupid. And I think I can't believe he's so stupid as to have got himself into this mess, but he definitely has, which suggests then that he and ultimately Andrew Mountbatten Windsor developed a sense of power and entitlement. They thought they were above the laws. And he's so keen to show how powerful he is. He's giving away secrets to Epstein that he shouldn't be doing. I just can't believe he was that stupid. And with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, one of the points of having a royal family is to give a kind of moral guidance to the rest of your community, and he seems to have flaunted that completely. It's baffling how these guys, who are apparently intelligent, can be so stupid. Ron, you're not a royalist?
No, not at all. And I'm not a Trumpist either. It's just, whenever I see any of this on the news or I read it in the papers, I get angry. How can all of these, most of them are millionaires and pedophiles. Like, Jesus, sick SOBs. I don't understand it.
It's a case you think that they're very powerful. These elites are, I think they are just above, not even above the law, above basic morality, perhaps.
Privileged, yes. Yeah. They think they're privileged.
And good to get somebody on the radio phoning in about the deep state, aren't we?
Yeah, we've been talking about the deep state, and people have been going on about the deep state, and apparently, Donald Trump was going to clean, drain the swamp, and was talking about the deep state. But again, there are images everywhere. Mandelson was always known as, he was the Dark Lord. In the night, he was one of the people that revolutionised the Labour Party. Tony Blair's. He was a minister without portfolio. He was a guy who's supposed to be adept at the dark arts of politics.
He just resigned.
He's resigned from the Labour Party, because and you think, there's a photograph of him. We're not suggesting. He lived rent-free in Epstein's place in Paris. Epstein apparently gave him $75,000 worth, and he transferred $75,000 to his account. And Mandelson goes, I can't remember that. Now, if somebody transferred $75,000 to my account or your account, Ron, or Jerry, I know that guy washes through every day, I should mention. But I think you'd bleeding well remember it, wouldn't you?
Probably.
Well, the tax people would here anyway.
I'd remember $75.
Yes, well, yeah. But you see what I'm saying here, and that this if something like Mandelson can allow himself to be photographed in his underwear with a young lady, and his you just think that Mandelson's legacy has been completely shot out of the water with this one. Yeah. And this is a man who was supposed to be Machiavellian, or was at least have a handle on politics, and now he just seems tone deaf to the rather than going, okay, I'm going to help with an inquiry, I'm going to help the victims, because again we get carried away with this whole Epstein and his links to royalty and finance and politics. But the victims in this one are these young women who are trafficked. There are I saw a couple of bits and pieces about a young sort of Brazilian woman who was shouting in the streets and never heard of again, etc. And you just think this is, if you were to write this Hannibal Lecter type story in a Hollywood movie, you'd go, it's just too far-fetched. Yeah. So, is this? Do you think this is going to give a sea change to? And we've got a call coming in, as I thought we might do on this one. 952-78-4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. Caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Good morning, Giles. It's Alf.
Morning, Alf. How are you doing, sir?
I just thought I'd ring in and say, first of all, welcome back, Ron.
Thanks, Alf.
Long time no here, and to you, Jerry.
Hey. Happy New Year, Alf.
I tell you what, is there no such thing as golf underwater?
Underwater golf?
Underwater golf, yeah. There must be somewhere.
Yeah. Underwater snooker, maybe, but golf would be a tricky.
Yeah.
The thing about these Epstein papers, which I find quite fascinating, is it's the same stuff coming out, isn't it? It's Andrew, it's Mandelson, it's maybe Trump, but never Trump, and all these other people who they won't mention, who supposedly all these other important people. But to say, Jerry, you can't believe Mandelson being so stupid it's not about him being stupid. He's a very intelligent person on certain issues. So in politics, and he wasn't the person brought in by Blair to change the Labour Party, by the way, Giles. Kinnock brought in Mandelson as part of his team in order to get rid of the extreme left. This was the fight in the militant in Liverpool, and it was all of that. And Mandelson was brought in because of his electoral intelligence, and I've sat in rooms and the way this guy thinks, sometimes you go, wow, that's not just off at a tangent. It's just completely, you go, wow, where did that come from? Really intelligent on that. But the one issue that he could never manage, and has never managed throughout all of it, is he's not a rich man. He is not one of these millionaires. He's the guy who's had his nose in the trough for years. And it doesn't, now they've said, oh, he's given these, whatever, if it's true, these facts to Epstein about the 350 or 500 million euro bank stuff that was leaked the day before and all of that. If any of that's true, that's minor issue. Go way back. He had to leave the Labour Party. Well, no, he had to leave being an MP because he took 370,000 from the rich Labour person to pay a mortgage. He's taken money all the way through from different sources for different reasons. So that's the driving force behind these people. He wants to be a rich person, a powerful rich person, and he never has been. He was powerful in politics. Outside of that, he's a scumbag, and always has been a scumbag. And if you talk to people, I worked, I won't say alongside, he was part of the Labour Party organisation when I was working before and for the Labour Party. And what you did, and remember, I was a professional organiser, so this guy was part of the organising team who was giving instructions as to what we should do. And the last thing you wanted to do was to be anywhere near him or any room with him, or he was rude. He was all sorts of manner of things. And that softly spoken, quietly spoken, that's part of the entrapment. Bring you in and then shout at you. He was no more, no less. And I worked with lots of Taylor, the geezer who's now the chief executive of the National Health Service. He was brought in to try and teach me, a guy of 40 odd years of age who'd spent 20 years doing stuff in the Labour Party, to teach me how to go and knock on a door and talk to people about political issues. And this just go. It was a whole revolution. The best person, the seriously best person, unfortunately she's dead now, was Margaret McDonough, who eventually became the General Secretary. But she was the real think tank behind the Blair stuff. He had all the policies, she had all the organisation. She taught us how to, a whole raft of things. So he isn't stupid, and he wasn't stupid. What he is greedy. And it's the greed that's driven all of this nonsense, and that's what's going to carry on every time you hear something now. And him not being a Lord, him not being in the Lords, him not being so-called in the Labour Party, is not going to change one iota of the media. As you know, Giles, the media will keep. It's like a sore, isn't it? It's like a scab, and they'll just keep picking at it. Oh, this for years. This will go on for years. Next general election, that's never going to be mentioned. Of course it will be.
The other thing is, Alf, this whole situation about Mandelson he was made, a US ambassador, okay? And this is, what's his name? It's Mark, is it Max? The two M's in his name. What's his name? There's the guy who is behind Starmer. He's to the hard left of the party. Max Mickelson? No, I can't remember his body.
I wouldn't know.
No, okay,
you know me and names, Giles.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. But the thing is, that
a fat bloke, a thin bloke, or a bald bloke.
People had reservations about Mandelson being appointed to the two. So it's just, this is not going to go as if Sir Keir Starmer didn't have enough on his plate as it was. This appointment's going to be looked at as well, isn't it? And more questions about his leadership.
Well, I hope it is, because it's not. Listen, Starmer knows no more about Mandelson than I do. Starmer wasn't around the scene when Mandelson was playing his violin to the Labour Party people. Starmer wasn't even I never knew Starmer, and I was doing stuff with the Labour Party up till. That was a fascinating bit, because this stuff came out in 2010 from Number 10. And I was working for the Labour Party. Well, I went back to work for the Labour Party in 2010 for the general election that Gordon Brown didn't win. Yeah. And Mandelson, he was like this misty figure that, his name kept popping up, and it was always popped up in terms of, well, this is what we should be saying, and this is where we should be going, and here's the way we should knock on a door, and this is who we should be talking to. He was never, ever, up front. If he'd have been up front in 2010, I can guarantee you that half the Labour Party organisation would have fallen to bits, because so many people never trusted Mandelson. And that's what I don't understand, is there was enough known about Mandelson. Why Starmer stick your neck out? Yes, this guy, the acumen he's got of, he can talk to Trump. He's talked to Trump for years. He talked to all of the industrial people around the world. He was really good at it. But when you know his background, why stick your neck out and put him up front in a high-profile job like that, irrespective of everything that's come out? Nobody knew all the Epstein stuff would come out at the same time that he was put as American ambassador. But you just think something would have come out. The first thing that came out when he was appointed, by the way, was the bit about he took 300,000 to pay a mortgage, or for a mortgage, because he couldn't get a mortgage through a bank. You go, why couldn't he get a mortgage through a bank? Well, because he never had enough income. So the guy he's not a rich person. I don't know what his husband, former partner, I don't know what they do now, but was he taking money from Epstein for training to be a, I don't know, psychoanalyst or something like that?
Chiropractor. I think
the chiropractor. Yeah. Chiro, there's a classic, isn't it?
Exactly.
Jerry, explain what a bloody chiropractor is. It's a false doctor, isn't it?
No, it's like an osteopath or a physiotherapist. They manipulate.
Is it? Is that a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought it was these people that felt the bumps on your head and told you what you were feeling.
Do you remember the Profumo scandal?
Yep.
The guy who committed suicide because they tried to put it on him. He was a chiropractor, but I can't remember his name.
Oh, right. So it is a sort of proper job.
That's it, Stephen Ward. Yeah.
Stephen Ward, yeah.
It's a sort of proper job. When they say that, I just can't imagine. And I know you said it, it's like, why did Starmer do? And you just go, why did he do it? And there's never been an explanation other than, we wanted somebody and this guy fitted the bill and he was this, that and the other. And you go, yeah, but surely someone around Starmer... Well, no, I'll tell you what has happened. After we had all the nonsense with the left trying to run the Labour Party and win elections that give us our worst result since Michael Foot, it's like they lost all that experience in the Labour, because people wouldn't go near to him because either one, they weren't listening, or two, if you said anything that the Labour Party didn't agree with, he was a raging right winger who didn't know what they were talking about. It surprises me now that they don't come out and call Neil Kinnock a right winger for getting rid of Militant. Unbelievable.
So where do you think they go from there, then? Do you think, Mandelson is finished politically, because nobody's going to touch him. He is absolutely...
Yeah. This is one of these things where, over time, the conversation will die a death. But every time they issue an Epstein paper, or every time somebody talks about Epstein papers, Mandelson's name is going to come up. And I'm glad it's only Mandelson, Because if
at the moment, who knows what might come?
Hang on, they were dragging Gordon Brown into that as if he knew at the time what was happening with Mandelson in 2010. As if Mandelson walked in to number 10, and Gordon Brown called him into his office and said, right, this is what's going to happen with his finances. They probably had, because they're genuine people who are attempting to run a country, they're probably having a conversation about, remember at the time, the danger was it Spain and Portugal, certainly Spain, the danger was that they were going to become bankrupt. So the European organisation were putting this bank together in order to be able to lend them effectively interest-free loans in order to prop up their economies. And Gordon Brown, of course, would have been part of that because, remember, he was the one accused of, he's the one who created the financial situation in 2010. And it couldn't be further from it's nothing to do with Gordon Brown. He was predicting that 2 years before and saying, you need to change things.
And then you have this thing about Mandelson apparently telling Epstein to advise the head of, I think it was JP Morgan, when they were talking about the bankers' bonus. Because when that financial crash happened, I mean, it was the bankers who absolutely got blamed for, because of their, here we go again, greed, quoting Gordon Gekko, and they were going to put...
But remember, there's this thing called the media, Giles.
I'm vaguely aware of it.
Right, so the media then jumped off of that because they know Joe Public don't give a toss about JP Morgan or any of those, but they do understand Barclays Bank, they do understand NatWest, they do understand any Santander, they do understand all these fat bankers who did all that. Oh, and by the way, it was because of what Gordon Brown did with the currency, because we didn't join the single market, because we didn't do this. All of a sudden, we're running. Remember, this was a general election year. 2010 was Gordon Brown's election, and all right, he was close, but not close enough to winning, and couldn't do the deal with, because the Lib Dems were then, absolutely frightened about making the decision. Oh, because they got this deal based on scrap student loans. I mean, that lasted 10 minutes in the cabinet for the new government of the Tories and Lib Dems. We want you to scrap student loans. No, says Cameron. That was the end of that. That was the end of their whole campaign, and they lost how many MPs, wiped out, because they couldn't deliver. But it all came back. The media kept going on about Gordon Brown, because it was election. So they didn't even blame, after the event. Yeah. The banks got the real blame. But it is all about all these people. What was it recently? They've just announced, Barclays Bank have just announced £94 billion profit? Something ridiculous. And you go, these banks are supposed to be there to provide help and support for the people of the country in order to grow the economy, because it's good for everybody else, including them. And then they go, well, we've made 94 billion profit, but we're not giving anything back. We're still going to charge top whack for mortgages. We're still going to restrict who can have mortgages. We're still going to put pressure on for no rental arrangements. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating indeed.
And I'm not that left-wing, but I'm left-wing enough to know that these banks need taking in hand.
95278. Going to take a quick break. Thanks, Alf, for that. You can come back to the show a bit later on. But I've got some
cheers, guys.
Thanks very much, Alf. Good to have you with the show again.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always lively. With you for the next 2 hours, an hour and 25 minutes. Here today on TRE Talk Radio, your voice in Spain, joined by Dr. Jerry Hagan and nicest man in radio, Ron Yates. To the WhatsApps we go, +34 645 99 67 95. Powerful people in the Epstein files. Trump, Elon Musk, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and probably way, way more to come. It's been proven that the more money someone has, the less empathy they have. which is why obviously the panel, we are brilliant empaths. When one has infinite power and money, they believe they are beyond consequence or morality. Depravity follows. World leaders may well all be like this as power changes people. Absolutely insane. This other one coming in. They're slow walking the Epstein files while saturating the world with fake AI images, conditioning people to doubt reality itself. That way, when the files are finally released, they can just shrug and label them fake. Ironically, the strategy was suggested to them by AI. And morning, Richard. So, here we go. So, police investigation. Nothing to see here. Please move along. Epstein's behaviour is very common, especially the lobbying part with political favours, etc. Morality within the royal family? Lol. The deep state will result in people calling in and accusing you and the panel of suffering from Epstein derangement syndrome, politics of envy. 65k is chump change in the grand scheme of things. I wouldn't necessarily remember it, so I doubt an MP at the time who earned six figures would. The bigger issue is the non-reporting of the funds, even if it were for 75 pence. A curiosity to mention, thank you, Richard, reform are usually first out of the blocks on any major scandal involving the British political establishment, but on Epstein, it's tumbleweed. Because they're saying that, email to Nick Candy, Ghislaine was very disappointed that you didn't tell her you were coming into town. Anything to say, Nige? This is from Nick Candy sent to, doesn't say. So Ghislaine was very disappointed that you didn't tell her you were coming into town in Palm Beach now and hoping to be back in City Thursday. We'll let you know. I'll let you know as soon as it's set, and we'll set a night to have dinner. Speak to you soon, Sarah. Presumably that is an email to Nick Candy, the treasurer of Reform, that has been sent to me by Richard. 952784000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official. You can WhatsApp me on +34 645 99 67 95. They understand a fat bankers in Santander, but not the faintest about fat bankers at JP Morgan. Looking at, I'm just seeing what else he's just sent me. Richard sent me. These are people who will be named in the new release Epstein files on the 28th of February. Apparently, Oprah Winfrey is top of the pile there with 44%. Oh, Donald Trump is up on 44%, and Bill Gates. Those are the names of the rich and famous. The Clintons are in there. The Clintons, Stephen Hawking's in there, Kevin Spacey, Joe Biden. These are the people that they think are going to be named in the next tranche. But they are sort of saying, 3 million files, panel. It does seem to be sort of a tsunami of shiza that is coming this way. And if you go, here's 3 million files, there you go. Work your way through that and see. Yeah. I'm probably in there at some point.
I still can't get my head around that number for two reasons. One, who keeps 3 million files? And if files were potentially future dangerous to you in the future, why didn't you destroy them? And 2,000 videos. Why do you keep 2,000 videos? And he must be convinced he'd never be caught.
Presumably, it's on servers somewhere. in the great cyberspace thing. And that is presumably why. By the way, I'm on the Facebook page, which is Talk Radio Europe Official. We're running a poll, which we often do here on a Viewpoint, and asking the question: do you think should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson be forced to give evidence about their links to Epstein? If you want to get your votes in that, I put up a little bit later, so please get involved with that one. And here are the numbers if you wish to get involved this morning.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
On the back of that, that's what I'm asking on the fact, should Mountbatten Windsor and Mandelson be be forced to give evidence. This is presumably, subpoena in front of US Congress.
I think they should just arrest every single one of them who were involved in that, and then just take it to court and get it off the news.
Okay,
I was sick of this for the last year. That's all we've heard about.
It might be a bit more complicated, honestly.
Well, I know that, but even if they throw the cases out of court, just get it off the news.
But the thing is, this is
frustrating.
It may be frustrating, but this, if this is if his tentacles if Epstein's tentacles go as far and deep as suggested, I mean, it's a huge case. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hi, it's John in Meehouse.
Morning, John. Is it raining where you are?
Not at the moment, but it's very wet.
Okay. No, just wondering the traffic noise in the background. That's all.
Well, no, I'm out in the street.
Right.
I'm normally sitting on.
What's your viewpoint, please, John?
You ask why would anyone keep all these self-incriminating videos or whatever. I would have thought it's pretty obvious that Epstein was in the business of stitching people up, and he set up as many sort of traps as he possibly could, that he could probably use them in the future. I mean, there was one police force, I'm not sure it was Texas, but one of them, apparently they had 380, I think, videos from one of his addresses. I mean, the guy was a serial recorder of everything in order, I say, to stitch people up.
He was keeping the stuff to be used at a future date then?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, he was like a blackmailer or whatever on my calling, waiting for the occasion when... And it's pretty obvious, all the people he had on his list of contacts and acquaintances and whatever, he was in an ideal position to do exactly that.
Thanks for the call in there, John. I mean, but you've got to. But thanks for the call in there. But take care out there out in the streets. Something just come in here saying narcissists keep files. So he presumably thinks he's beyond impunity. He's not going to get. He knows too many people. He's not going to get his comeuppance, and that's why he's kept all these files. So he might want to use them at a later date. Jerry,
that's plausible, but if you're going to do it for blackmail, that's a short-term gain, because eventually the rest of the people in that kind of societal group will find out what he does and go nowhere near him, and they'll lose everything. So it didn't make sense in the longer term.
Here's another thing. I mean, we talk about this whole situation, but Mountbatten Windsor, Mandelson, a lot of this stuff took. I mean, Mandelson's staying in the Paris apartment, house, whatever it is, property. When Epstein has got conviction for child sex trafficking, and anybody with an ounce of here's the word for you, Ron, and I can feel a Ron coming on here. I can just looking across, but common decency. If you, perish the thought that we knew anybody who was involved in this. But if you had a friend, if you had an acquaintance or somebody you knew was involved with, and I think we can agree this is the lowest of the low, you wouldn't go over to see them in New York. You certainly wouldn't stay in their houses whilst they were doing other business if they'd been convicted of A, sex trafficking, or B, sex trafficking with underage children. Ron, the floor is yours, and I'm standing well back.
I would probably burn their house down if I knew where it was. I'd make sure that none of the children were in there and they were still inside, and burn the damn place down. And make sure that they can't get out.
I mean, it's a moral code, isn't it?
The guys who come in after being convicted kind of justified it, and I'm not justifying it, is the girl who involved in that case was 17 and a half years old.
Oh, so wow, that's all right then.
They got poor old Jeffrey on a technicality, and a silly man, but he'll be all right. We'll just wrap his knuckles and still be friends, because he's helpful and useful to me.
And when you look at the sort of the videos that they have, of these parties and all these beauty pageants, and a friend of mine was a beauty queen in Venezuela, and she wasn't a Trump fan. She'd actually had the pleasure of meeting Trump when she won Miss whatever the region of Venezuela she was, and she was just like, she just used to shudder when we thought about him. But you see these guys, these men, quote unquote, and they're all in their 30s and the 40s. Okay, it's the 80s, it's the 90s, and they're acting like frat boys. And we talk about toxic masculinity all the time now because of social media, but it's not toxic masculinity in the way that men deal with women or girls in this case, which they basically are. That hasn't changed. It doesn't matter if you've got a smartphone, because these videos are showing that same sort of, aren't we naughty, aren't we getting away with it? That is,
I mean, there are videos of Trump doing that before he was in politics, talking to other men about how he deals with women and... I can't even, it's not the time of day that I could
know what he's saying. Yes, we know what he says. Ron, you're just looking disgusted and stern, basically.
Well, being from Canada, I've heard all this Trump stuff for, I don't know, it takes up about 60% of all of our news back home, and I'm sick of the guy. He makes me sick just to look at him, and the stories that they tell about him, and the news that you've heard about him. It just, I don't understand how 71 million people could have voted for him in the last election. I'm surprised
you don't like him then.
I'm surprised that they could find 71 people that would vote for him. I'm hoping that apparently there's something going on now that they're trying to recruit enough Congress to get him impeached. They need 238 people or something like that. I saw in the news this morning. If they can get 238 members to vote in favor of the impeachment, then they can kick him out of office. That would be the best thing that's ever happened to the United States since the Civil War.
We'll come on to.
And you've got to think that through, Ron, because if they did that, then the people, the redneckers, the uneducated, etc., who vote for Trump will think they've picked on their guy and be more angry with the people who now take power. And I didn't do America any favours doing that.
95278 4000. Let's we'll take a quick break and then back for the last 10 minutes, the first half of Viewpoint.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always live, always lively. Joined in the studio by Dr. Joy Hagan and Ron Yates. This in from Claudia. Morning. Pam Blondie is a disgrace. She, of course, is the head of the Department of Justice, I believe, in the States. She's a disgrace for the women gender. How can she live with herself? I hope all the men get what they deserve. Meanwhile, the reason that people vote, this is from Richard, the reason people vote for Donald Trump is because it's a cult. Such voters are cheap. And after all, Donnie said he loves the poorly educated, and the poorly educated whooped and cheered at that point. So that's your there's your explanation for it, Ron, if you're wondering when
that would be the entire Republican Party, I guess.
Well, 952 78 4000 is
probably an overstatement.
Yeah, well, we like it. Go to the poll on the Talk Radio Europe Facebook page. Should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson be forced to give evidence about their links to Epstein? At the moment, 100% of you think yes, he should do. So if you want to get your vote on that one, because they are saying they should be. Well, Mountbatten Windsor has been already stripped of his title. Lord Mandelson, obviously, it's going to be. He hasn't been into the House of Lords. He hasn't been seen around the corridors of power in terms of the House of Lords since this all broke. I mean, surely they're going to strip him of his title, of his lordship.
That seems likely. Everyone's talking about it already.
Because I mean, it's just making absolute. I mean, the problem with Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, of course, he's kind of sort of born into his titles. There's not an awful lot you can do about that. The king has to make that decision to strip him of his title as Prince Andrew. But again, it was appointed by a Labour government, and it will be another rod to beat Keir Starmer with. Yeah, indeed. These are the numbers if you want to get your viewpoint across.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Right then, this is Peter. Peter, morning guys. Re Andrew and Power. I knew people who worked at Sandringham in the 90s. They always said he was one to be careful of if you're a young woman. Thank you for that one. Meanwhile, Sam says, it's possible that blackmail shapes how power really works. Recent US presidents often came in guns blazing about reform, not the party, or draining the swamp, only to pull back once in office. This pattern makes you wonder what pressures exist behind the scenes. The same could be true internationally, where figures like Sir Keir Starmer might have to go along with the established power structure, perhaps because of connections or sensitivities involving Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, even if the full picture isn't clear. But I just really think it's the test of character, panel. The test of morality and character is what you do when no one else is looking, basically. In other words, if you think you can get away with it, if you think you are superior to the rest of the people, it is your right, your divine right. Because what was it, Leona Helsley said? The little people don't pay taxes or whatever, but the little people, their standards of morality don't apply to us, and that's got to be that is pretty craven, isn't it?
Too early. I mean, these guys must have thought they were untouchable, and because of who they were, and there's something wrong with that thinking.
Bron?
Yeah, I agree with what Jerry just said. It's not how much money they got, it's the connections that they have. And they know they can get away with a lot of stuff if they're connected with the right people. I don't think everything involves bribery and blackmail and all that stuff, but I think it's just their connections, the people that they're involved with.
This has come in, and this is John Sweeney, who, as you know, I've interviewed several times, including about Ghislaine Maxwell. And he says the following: I've been a reporter for 40 years more, man and boy, and I can't remember being as shocked by a data dump as reading the Epstein files this morning. Sex under it goes, torture, snuff jobs. Snuff is when somebody is killed on camera. Something like 30 members of the Trump administration or people in his circle pop up in the Epstein files. Sorry, Epstein sewer. Donald Trump, time and again, stories of him taking part in sexual abuse of girls under the age of consent. Photos of Brett Ratner, the director of the unhit movie Melania, with Epstein and young girls. Our own Andrew, formerly known as Prince, cavorting with what looks to be on the face of a child, not a woman. And the news that Mandelson's husband was paid $10,000 by Epstein when he was a convicted paedophile. Maybe more, maybe a lot more. There's even a walk-on part for Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, catching a disease from a Russian prostitute and worrying about how to slip his wife medication without her knowing about it. Immediately, we must step back. In any investigation, whether by the FBI, by the Met here in London, or even by a simple journalist, you can come across fantastic stories which can be, on the surface, at first brush, terrible and alarming and shocking. And then your work is a bit harder, and you interrogate the stories and they turn out to be dross. The source cannot possibly know the details of the story they claim to have. The source is weak, foolish, and wrong about detail. But some of the time, they may be fantasists. So some of the time they may be telling the truth or part of the truth. And some of the time they may be fantasists. Working out the difference is hard. This is a particular difficulty with the victims of sexual abuse and child sexual abuse. We all know about Nick, whose fantasies led to the police to probe the former chief of the defence staff, Lord Bramwell, and former European Commissioner Liam Britton, amongst others, in the infamous Operation Midland historic child sexual abuse. Nick, real name Carl Beach, was found to have had fabricated allegations, and he was convicted in 2019 of perverting the course of justice. It was all nonsense. So we've got to keep that in mind. It may well be that Trump and the Mandelsons and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Bill Gates and Brett Ratner, etc., have been stitched up by dark fairy tales. The presumption of innocence must be at the forefront of everybody's minds. Having said that, the photograph of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor cavorting with what seems to be a child is shocking. The multiple times Trump is alleged to have been up to no good is shocking, even for someone like me, John Sweeney, who has challenged him to his face about his financial relationship with a Russian-born gangster. If it's true, why did Mandelson go along with the $10,000 gift from Jeffrey Epstein, convicted paedophile, to his husband? What did Jeffrey Epstein get out of it? The story, on the face of it, is shocking. Now, there's a terrible problem here. When it happens in a great democracy like the United States of America, is that the president commissions a good judge or good people to carry a full and open inquiry into the beautiful light of day. I'm thinking about the Warren Commission, the investigation into the assassination of JFK, and the brilliant and beautifully written report by Congress into 9/11. For most reasonable people, and certainly me, both those reports laid some of the silly conspiracy theories to rest. The Warren Commission concluded JFK was killed by a lone assassin. Congress concluded that 9/11 was the product of a kind of Saudi death cult led by Osama bin Laden. But that was it. There wasn't a great conclusion. The problem is Trump is so toxic to the proper process of the rule of law, to honesty, to decent conduct. Any such inquiry has no hope until he's out of the White House. So for a time, millions and millions of people suspect that those who hold democratic power in the United States, in Britain, in Europe, and in Israel are fundamentally evil because they are terrible people. There are terrible bits of evidence pointing them out to be in hock to a paedophile, an extremely rich one at that, to manipulate people and to be served on an industry basis by girls under the age of sexual consent. So the main thing is this: is once and again we won't. So a couple. He makes he makes a couple of points, which is. Peter Mandelson is finished for good. He's benefited from his husband getting a $10,000 gift from Pedophile. What did Mandelson give Epstein in return? We need to know the answer. And from now on, I don't want to hear Peter Mandelson to be a pundit or anything until he admits and confesses to apologise. 4, Bill Gates, maybe he was stitched up, but he should never have been friends with Epstein because he's convicted of being a pedo. 5, don't watch Melania the movie but you knew that anyway because of Brett Radner. Once more, we must bear in mind the possibility some of these allegations may be grossly unfair and may be dross, but there is no substance to them. But all of these people in the Epstein files have to explain what's happened for the good of democratic government, because dictators in Moscow, in Beijing, in Tehran are laughing at us, and right now millions and millions of people think the system stinks. And to be honest with you, for the moment, it does. That's John. That's John Sweeney talking on his, socials today about the thing. This will just convince millions of people, as he said, that the system stinks at the moment. We can't trust politicians, and that is the worrying thing about that, is that leaves the door open to people saying what we need now is a strong leader, someone to join the swamp, to drain the swampy, and that perhaps is the underlying thing, because everybody will go, you see. They're all in hock. Bill Gates is in hock. Elon Musk is in hock. Yeah. And democracy isn't working. And we'll come on to this in the second half of the show, because there is I feel there's a real and present danger to our democracies at the moment, because people are saying, well, Europe's in tatters, Britain is broken, Europe's in tatters, Trump's going to get Greenland, China's taking over the world, spheres of influence, and we all, I'd quite like to be led by a strong dictator, because all this democracy is far too much faff. It's not worth it.
Especially younger people.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
And so in the second half of Viewpoint, after we've all had another strong cup of tea or coffee or whatever we'll imbibe today, we'll come on to that one as well. And we'll have our own peculiar perspective from the nicest man in radio, Ron, about what's happening in Canada and the 51st day. But keep it locked and loaded, because Ron Yates will be back with his Canadian Viewpoint after the national and international news. News is up next.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown. Live comment and discussion with studio guests.
Viewpoint.
Welcome back to the second half of this morning's Viewpoint. With you for the next 56 minutes, give or take. I'm joined in the studio by Dr. Sherry Hagan and the nicest man on radio, Ron Yates. Just have a quick look at some of the bits and pieces that have been coming in over whilst we've been away from the national international news.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
When we look at, so these are coming in the WhatsApps, which are +34 645 99 67 95, and they say when you talk about when you talk about people getting away with murder, look at the example of Gaza. The West allows genocide with very little criticism of Israel's censorship of the media is allowing the genocide to continue, and now a peace plan that's been cited by the great thing. This is the new normal. Thanks. This coming in from Richard. Nice picture of Nigel Farage and Epstein together. So there's ultimately some breaking news. Sanchez, Spanish Prime Minister, has announced that Spain wants to prohibit the access to digital platforms to those less than 16 years of age. That'll get my goddaughters smiling, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Paris prosecutors, that's better. Paris prosecutors raid France's offices of Elon Musk's X. If democracy isn't working, what's the solution? Fascism? Dictatorship? We can see the US imploding. Meanwhile, Trump's motto, keep your friends close and keep your paedophile friends closer. They're all around him in the White House. And this one, presumption of innocence. Ha 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 ha. Right, thanks for those. Looking at my poll that I'm running in the on the Facebook page. If you want to get involved, if you want to have a vote on the Facebook page, we are asking the following question, which is: should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson be forced to give evidence about their links to Epstein? At the moment, it's 100% think that he should do so, or they both should do so. We're pretty unanimous. I don't think we've ever had a 100% poll before, so somebody get involved with that one and see where we go with that one. Right then, as I said, joined by Ron Yates, a.k.a. the nicest man in radio. Now, I've been trying to get you on for a couple of weeks because you've been over here obviously enjoying the weather, but I thought you were eminently placed because up until this recent sort of dump about Epstein or whatever else, we had this quite extraordinary situation with the US, A, demanding Greenland, and B, this whole talk about Trump saying, it would be great if Canada were the 51st state, and we need, Canada should really be part of. Are you limbering up here? I can see Ron's limbering up, but from somebody who is Canadian, who's merchant marine, the forces, etc. What's your take? As a proud Canadian, and please keep the swearing to a minimum there, but because we with the greatest respect, we hadn't been thinking about Canada a lot. Now it's front and centre. What was it like to be sitting in, 100 miles north of Toronto, wondering what you're going to have for lunch, and then this news breaks that the troublesome neighbour down south is completely sort of making these outrageous demands. Ron, the floor is yours.
Well, for me to try and express my opinions on Trump, I probably shouldn't do that on air. No. But the man is...
But you're the nicest man on the radio.
The man is sick. He's really, really sick. I mean, what he did in Venezuela and with those fishermen that were out in the water and talks about Greenland. And then for him to think that he's going to come up and take over Canada and make it the 51st state, he's out of his absolute mind. He just... somebody should remind him what happened in 1812 when we had a little battle with the United States and Canadians and Brits went down and we burnt down their White House, Perhaps we should do that again, and we could get rid of that ballroom that he's spending $300 million on.
So, but, I mean, how does a Canadian government react to that? And of course, you've got Mark Carney in there, who's taken over from Justin Trudeau.
Thank God.
Right. Okay. So, for those who aren't up with the ins and outs of Canadian politics, just give me a little sort of 101 about why Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of England, is a better deal in your opinion for Canada than Trudeau ever was.
Well, actually,
let's not talk about Trudeau's mum and the Rolling Stones. Okay, but anyway,
Carney actually ran the finances in Canada back in 2017 when the world crashed, and we were one of the only countries in the world that didn't really suffer badly. The man is a genius when it comes to dollars and cents, I think, and he's a very brilliant man. And his speech that he made at the Davos meeting with all those people. I mean, all those world leaders were up hugging him and shaking his hand and thanking him for his talk that day. I'm proud of him, and I'm glad that he's in there. I have to admit that I'm the type of person that votes for somebody in my riding where I live if I know that they're going to help me if I need them. And our MP, actually, Member of Parliament, Adam Chambers, he's a Conservative. And I actually voted him because he's a friend of my daughter's.
Right, fair enough.
But I'm a strong supporter of Carney. I really like what he's done with the country in the last year that he's been there. And I think he has 65% popularity vote right now in the whole country. Even though Polyev, he had his party leadership vote, and he ended up with like 80 some odd percent. But there was only 1,000 people there to vote. He charged everybody $1,000 to go to this.
And Polyev is presumably is he the Make Canada Great party or something?
He's the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada,
right?
The federal Conservative Party, yeah. And he's an idiot. He's never done anything but be in government. That's all he's ever done. He's never had a job in his life.
Quite that applies to a lot of politicians.
Yeah.
I mean, this is perhaps one of the things that we look at, isn't it? The fact that we complain that there are too many people who are in politics who have never done anything but politics.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, there are too many people who come into politics purely to be, in the leading roles in politics. You look at all the sort of Labour and the new young Labour guys, and they're thinking of getting out immediately because they think they're going to lose the next election. And
Carney knows what he's doing when it comes to finances, and that's what a good leader has to be.
I was impressed when Trump put all those tariffs on Canada. Over the next year, Canada increases exports by 20%.
Yes,
right. I mean that was smart moving by him that did that.
And Carney is actually on his way to India right now to make deals with India, and we're working on China and the European nation. We got invited to join. Canada's been invited to join. I forget what the organization is called.
Well, not the BRICS, the BRICS thing, the Brazil, India.
It's with Europe.
EU?
The
EFTA.
With EU, there's
the trading bloc.
Something like
that.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been invited to. We're the only outside European Union country that is part of that group now.
And here's the thing. Does it show maybe a degree of arrogance because the American scene, or the American administration seems to say that okay, if you're not going to do business with the US, as if all the world's economies depend on America, and lots of them. The EU signed a deal with India the other week, and it's signed a deal with China the week before that. Canada's going off to sign deals with India. It's like, yeah, fine. Well, you can just sort of sit there and stew in your own juices. But we've got a world to do business without. We've got a world to do business out there, and the only people who are going to get impacted by any tariffs that come in, of course, are the Americans who are suddenly paying X amount for their imports.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just take the mining, the metal that we supply the U.S. to their automobile industries and stuff like that. They've had to lay off thousands of employees because they're not getting any metal. They're refusing to pay that extra tariff that Carney's put on it. Good for him. We'll find other countries that can use aluminum and iron and
I mean. On a sort of grassroots level, I mean, Canada is a very proud place. I mean, it's a huge country. I mean, the differences between Vancouver to Quebec to I don't know, Halifax, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely huge. But we really have seen this upsurge, not patriotism, but an upsurge in we're Canadians, and you can, because you can go stuff it basically.
Well, we have 243,000 kilometers of shoreline, the Arctic, the Atlantic, and the Pacific, and it's the second biggest country in the world. We have all sorts of natural resources there, and the rest of the world, we don't have to depend on the United States. The rest of the world needs that stuff as well. It's the same as our farming. The whole prairies, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, that's all farmland. It's just as far as the eye can see, wheat and grain and oats and all of that stuff. So we're starting to send a lot of that to China instead of the United States. And there's something to do with milk. I forget what it is, but the U.S. is really they're upset with that.
No, that's all right. Kind of got away with that one, yeah.
Anyway, I'm really happy with what Carney's doing there. And for us to become the 51st state is absolute insanity.
Well, it's the same as saying that the Greenland is going to be part of the America, and because it is. We know he's going after minerals. He's going after that's the real reason for it, I suppose. And it's sort of empire building, and just sort of
it's a child who's attention seeking as well, because you're never going to get Canada, and you can't get Greenland without some kind of deal. So he just likes to posture and get centre stage and have everybody looking at and listening to him.
Well, he's got most of the world is upset with him now. They're really angry with him.
He doesn't care.
No, I know. Yeah.
952-78-4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Yes, indeed. Looking at the poll at the moment, we're still looking at the poll. I'm asking, should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson be forced to give evidence about their links to Epstein? Well, we've never had this before, but at the moment, 100% of you are saying yes, they should be. Just checking. Yeah, it's still at 100%, and we've had quite a few votes in. So the public vote seems to be let's get them up. News that the Clintons are going to testify in front of US Congress about their links to Epstein, because obviously there are a few pictures as well of former President Bill Clinton alongside the convicted paedophile as well. But that doesn't obviously mean they were involved in any wrongdoing. Let's get off that subject. Talking about Canada's role in the world, I suppose, and also how's the situation at the moment? Because there are lots of, you've got the first native people, and you've also got the thing about Canada and its relationship with the British, with the Brits, and Australia's been in the past couple of years even has been quite vocal in its relationship with the former with its former. With being part of the empire, as it were, and we know that the heroic service Canadians unforgivably overlooked a lot of what Canadians did during the Second World War. They did the jobs that nobody else wanted to do, basically.
Beach.
Yeah, exactly, to put it mildly. Is the Republic? What was the situation with the links back with the UK, as it were?
Well, personally, I think that we're as tight now with Britain as we've always been.
Yeah.
We've been good. My dad is from England, but he came to Canada when he was 2.
Right. But he was determined, wasn't he?
Yeah.
God, blimey.
We do have I think we have a close relationship with Britain. I've never heard of or experienced any problems.
And so looking at the situation. Get your viewpoints to me on 952-78-4000. We're still with the poll that is still running with 100% thinking that as I said before, Epstein and Mountbatten Windsor should be facing. Let's look at a few other bits and pieces if you want to get your viewpoint across this morning. These are indeed the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952-78-4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
I want to go back to that previous point we were just talking before the break about the thing about democracies being under threat and what you think this could be, with people saying, John Sweeney writing just before at the top of the hour about the problem with fallout from these and any other scandals that we seem to have is the fact that it seems to undermine democracies, and democracies are a very fragile state of affairs. The onset of social media has seemed to, there are often reports that young people, are rather bored with the whole situation with politics. They maybe don't understand it, and they wish for a strong leader, and therefore they can't be bothered to vote. And for those of us who grew up, with our parents having fought for freedoms, do we look kind of like this with arched eyebrows? Because it's very easy. I mean, you read these reports in the Spanish press, and Andreas goes on about this, about sort of a percentage of young people thinking that really do believe that life was better under Franco, because their only experience with Franco is maybe there's telenovelas that appear, and it wasn't all that bad, and at least everybody had jobs, and etc. I mean, people tend to look back with to put it mildly, rose-tinted spectacles. I mean, do you look? And I was about to say that, and then Jerry's about to launch into something. The phone goes off. Morning, calling live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yeah, hi, it's Johnny Meehan.
Morning, John.
I don't know if this has already been covered because I missed it. I'm back home now in my comfy chair.
Right.
You're saying about should Andrew be forced to give evidence in America? I don't think there's any legal facility for that to happen. If he doesn't want to go, he doesn't go. So what we think, or what we think should happen or not happen, and it's obvious, almost certainly, unless he's given immunity, if he gives evidence, he's probably going to get arrested and charged.
Okay, but the thing is, though, we were talking about morality, weren't we? There, and that's always a tricky subject.
Right. I mean, what might well happen is that he might have a nasty accident that's been arranged by a certain M group in England in the government.
Right. Yeah. Tunnel in Paris.
Yeah.
No, that Paris one wasn't, but something like that. I mean, I've known a couple in my police service that almost certainly have been judicial murders, as it were. So it has happened, and it would be the easy way out, wouldn't it, if he decided he'd had enough and take overdose pills or something.
No, well, thanks for that one. Yes, okay.
I agree with John.
Thanks very much. What, extrajudicial killings? That's an interesting one.
No, I agree with John. There's no legal reason why Mandelson or Mountbatten Windsor should have to go. The Clintons refused to go before the Senate up until in the last few days they're threatened with criminal action by the Justice Department or something, and that's the only reason they've agreed to go. But that would have no application outside of the US.
Yeah,
it's up to them and their own conscience whether they should go ahead and do it.
Up to them and their own consciences.
Yeah, and that's been remarkably absent up to now.
Fair enough. Right. Let's go back to the question that I was asking there before about this, because we see the rise of parties such as Vox over here in Spain, which is a right-wing anti-immigration party here, harking back to the days of Franco and saying, things were much better then, and then everybody had jobs and the trains ran on time and women knew their place and that sort of thing. Sorry, what was that?
That was Mussolini who made the train.
Well, allegedly, yeah. But it is quite disturbing, isn't it, when you see these reports? And I'm not saying that, hey, with one moment we're saying don't believe the media, and then we're saying, oh well, the media say that 1 in 3 young people want to be led by a strong leader. But you do kind of think that a lot of people go, oh, don't vote because the government will get in, as the joke used to be. So, do you feel a malaise? Do you think there is a malaise?
You actually brought back an old memory of mine when you mentioned Franco, because when I was in the Canadian Navy, we came to Gibraltar. We were waiting for NATO to join us to come up and do exercises in the Mediterranean. But we were the first pipe that was made over the ship when we arrived in Gibraltar was, when you're on leave this evening, don't even attempt to cross the border into Spain, because we're part of the British Commonwealth and you're not allowed. You'll be thrown in jail. Don't phone us to come and get you.
Did that put anybody off?
Nobody came try to come across.
Yeah.
No.
And you told me about the rum ration as well. What was this? The rum ration? So the Canadian Navy didn't stop the rum ration until after the British Navy.
We kept ours for a year after the British. It was in 1971 when the British eliminated their rum ration, the issue that they used to give you every morning.
Yeah.
On the ship that I was on, our grog was served at 11:45 in the morning. It was a big pipe over the ship. Right. Stand down, hands to muster in the main flats for grog. But they didn't have to announce that because we were.
What was that again? Say that again. Say that again.
Stand down, hands to muster in the main flats for grog. That's where they issued the rum. But they didn't have to. They didn't have to announce that because we were all standing down there in line waiting for it.
But I mean, we do sort of. I mean, do we think, panel, that the youth are getting far too influenced by?
I wouldn't just say it's the youth. It's part of people's personality too. There are different groups of people who think different ways, and one way people like to have a strong leader who tells them what to do, and they feel. I mean, I know Russians here who still think Putin's fantastic, and they wouldn't hear a bad word against him. So you'll always have people who like to have a strong leader. It's part of human variation and personality. Me, not so much.
9-5. Yeah, I mean, the youth aren't very bright. Somebody came in there saying the youth aren't very bright. That's in there.
Yeah.
They're saying.
Don't think their average IQ is higher than any other age group.
I don't think that Putin would stand very high in the.
What, in the democratic...
In the Ukraine.
No, somebody
wouldn't be real popular.
Here's one in. This is Dawn in the Khalon Valley. Morning to you, Dawn. Deflection of the real issue, Epstein. This is the reason for 47's nonsense regarding Canada and Greenland. That coupled with greed. Okay, so that's a thought saying everything seems to be sort of deflection, and it's got to be this is the new thing. This is half the problem with what we're dealing with at the moment, is that because Trump just throws basically confusion and diffusion everywhere. So 1 minute we're talking knocking down the ballroom, the next we're talking about Greenland, then we're talking about they're eating their cats, they're eating the dogs, and it's then it's ice, of course. The whole situation with that. It just seems to be, it's. I don't know if he's doing this just deliberately, or it's just the politics of confusion and chaos at all times.
The best news that I've heard about ICE, and I just heard it this morning actually, was that the guy that shot that fella, he's been indicted now.
Yeah.
They reanalyzed all the photographs and stuff that the politicians were trying to promote and saying that he deserved it.
Alex Pritchard, this is of course the guy who was
killed,
executed basically. There are very few punches you can pull when you see those pictures. And you see what happens with that. I mean, that is perhaps a break. I mean, as much as Kent State was in Ohio in 1970, 69, 70, 70. It is the point where everybody has to go, well, hang on a second. This is... I thought back to Kent State, not because I'm a huge Crosby, Nash and Stills and Young fan, but the reason being that because people go, oh, this is terrible, this is happening in America, how can this be happening in America? But if you look at the history of America, it is extremely bloody. I mean, Democratic, the way the Democratic Convention happened in 1968, we've had...
In Chicago,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, the British journalists get beaten up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But look at their second... They have the right to bear arms. That means they can have as many bloody... There's more guns in the United States than there is in the rest of the world. They just... Everybody down there has them. It's unbelievable.
What's the carry law in Canada? Is it just basically you can't, unless you've got a problem with moose or bear, and
you can have a hunting rifle, but you can't have an automatic rifle, an AR-15 or anything like that. Yeah. You can have a hunting rifle because there's seasons where you can go hunt. Handguns. The only way you can have a handgun is if you belong to a gun club, and you only are allowed to take your gun from your house.
To the gun club.
To the gun club.
You can't get nipped down to Wendy's and pick up
pistols. No.
Yeah. No.
It's not like being in Florida where you stand in line in the grocery waiting to pay for your bill, your groceries, and the guy in front of you's got a gun on his hip. You know.
Yeah.
The ice guys now have to wear a body cam after Alex Pretty event, so that's a new rule. I didn't even know they didn't have body cams.
Well, the other thing with that is that's going to be a little concern to you if you suddenly get, if you get stuck by some ICE agent and you get your brains blown out. Oh, well, at least they had a body cam on, so that's it's the.
I think they're trying to take their masks off them as well. Because they all wear masks.
Yeah, I know they all wear masks. Because they all think they're, being... Anyway, to the lines we go. 952 78 4000 is the phone number. Morning, calling you live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. Peter.
Morning, Peter.
Morning. Just jumped in the car. Forgot you were even on. Too busy. And you're talking about an execution, which obviously wasn't an execution. And,
right.
and as I've said before, he's entitled to being judged by his peers. And he will get his day in court. And as for the Constitution and the right to bear arms, lately, some of your guests have been making these wild accusations about the Constitution and not even understand what the Constitution is. I mean, last week, Andreas said that he went there armed and he was allowed to be armed, and therefore he was carrying that gun legally. And he vehemently before was against the gun rights, the Second Amendment. Now, in that particular state, and they're all pretty similar, you have an open carry and a concealed carry law. And in Minnesota, there's an open carry law, or concealed, I think, possibly concealed, one or the other. When he was there, what idiot takes a gun or pistol, automatic pistol, to a riot, not a protest, to a riot? Now, the law states if he has concealed carry license and he goes there, he's quite entitled to carry that gun. But if he touches an officer in the execution of his duty, that's a felony crime. And with the gun on him, he faces a death penalty if charged and convicted, and he also runs the risk of being shot dead. Now, the moment he went there with that gun, and by the way, he was carrying 2 clips, which is up to about 30 cartridges. One, the pistol was loaded. He had 2 extra cartridges. That gun is renowned for going off, and it has been in several law cases before where it has gone off.
Right.
Now, you say he was executed. Who said he had the gun? Who knew he had the gun? And also, by the law, if stopped by an officer, he must declare that he has a concealed weapon. He's carrying a concealed weapon, and he must notify those officers that he did it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's committing a crime, and he committed a felony crime. He stopped officers in the execution of their duty. But what I'd like to know is, how did they know he had the gun? Did someone say he had the gun? Did he discharge a gun? Did he brandish the gun? Did the gun go off accidentally? And when it went off, did anyone say clear? Did anyone say gun received, gun got? Anyone say he had a second weapon? All that happened in a split second. So the word execution is grossly over the top.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at a guy. You're looking at the person, this guy who is apparently protecting a woman. He's piled on by these agents. The agents haven't been... I mean, listen, Peter, you know what we're talking about here. You know how dangerous and difficult the world is out there. You know that the way to get around is to have properly trained officers. I get where you're coming from. I get the word execution was perhaps misjudged, so I apologise for that, okay? The problem is, in the confusion, a weapon goes off, and because these ICE agents haven't gone through the stringent... I mean, even you who has worked with doors before go through processes, and you know how to disarm people with the minimum of fuss. You know how to de-escalate situations. And the point with this is, in the confusion and chaos that happened in Minneapolis, a weapon goes off. I wouldn't take a bleeding firearm. I'm sure I shouldn't be let with anything stronger than a can opener, to be honest with you. But he's got a weapon on him for some reason. It is cleared, apparently. Interesting point. We don't know if he's got two. Good point.
But also, Giles,
go on, Peter.
To come back before I lose track of what you were saying, I fully agree with you, and I've mentioned it before, the training of some of these officers.
Yeah.
Some of them are elite officers and come out of the military, some of them are not, and I don't know exactly what training they receive. The officers I know, or previous officers, now retired, are fully trained, and they served in Iraq, and they've done that. My head doorman was a former SBS Marine. He was a Marine attached to the SBS, and he was expert in amphibious landings, and no man could handle the door better than that man. And like you say, without escalation. But his training was the elite of the elite. These people are very special. Now, going back to what I said, why on earth would you take an automatic pistol with two clips to a riot? Secondly, if you've seen the video, have you seen the video of him, the reason why he was on their radar? Because when he spat at the police officers, kicked the lights out of the car, and was already arrested, and he was also filmed, and he was also known to them. Now, I'm not condoning what happened. What I'm saying is, it is one of those incidents, and as you just alluded to, I've been in tons of them. Yeah. I've had people that I've thought, wow, this is a bit difficult, and try to decompartmentalise and try to just do what is needed at that time with that person, and make sure everybody else is around is safe. And then you find out they're on PCP. Then you find out they're carrying a concealed weapon. Yeah. So, so it's not an execution, it's a moment of madness.
Peter, I chose the wrong word in that case, which I apologise for, so sorry for that one, Peter,
Yeah, no worries. But,
Can I just add that the same guy was involved in a similar incident a week before, attacking ICE officers. So
that's what I said. He kicked the lights, he spat at the officers and kicked the lights out.
Got some more calls coming in. All right, Peter, thanks for your call, mate. Always good to have you with you. 952784000. Morning, calling live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You might need to turn your radio down there, sir or madam. Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
I'll just try and turn the radio off.
Yeah, try and turn the radio.
Johnny, just one point that Peter made. I missed some of it because when I phone in, I can't get your radio, so I can't hear you. But Peter said, how'd they know he had a gun? Well, in that previous clip where he was kicking the car, he had a gun in the back of his waistband, and it was clear to see on the video. So maybe he had the same sort of light jacket on, and they could see the thing. Or, as Peter said, when you get stopped by police, you must declare. Perhaps he did declare that he had a gun.
Well, if you've watched, first of all, the videos were not taken by the ICE people. Most of the videos that we saw on the news were taken by the public who were there filming on their cameras, on their phones, and he didn't touch that gun. I saw every one of those videos, and he didn't touch that gun once. I don't know what I don't know what the hell Peter was on about, but he certainly didn't touch that gun. He was trying to rescue that woman from those idiots that were trying to throw her down on the ground and drag her away. And he was trying to save her.
I looked at some of those videos, and certainly there was a scuffle, and one person who allegedly was ICE came out of the scuffle with a gun in his hand and ran up the street. So they did. One disarmed him. The problem is that in reality, I don't know. But in reality, maybe the other people around him in the scuffle didn't see the gun get taken, so therefore they know he's got a gun, and that's the way he got shot.
Well, what the ICE people were saying in the beginning was that they showed he had his telephone in his hand, and they were saying they thought that was a gun, or that it was a gun, and it was. That's what they said when it first happened. Yeah. I saw the video about 30 times. He didn't touch that gun, not once.
Well, he may not have touched it, but what I'm saying is that somebody took it off him, and I heard also on one of the videos after the shooting, and they were searching the body at that stage. They were saying, "Where the hell is the gun?" So the person who was searching him didn't know the gun had been taken away. Goes back to training again,
doesn't it? Goes back to this training again, doesn't it? That basis.
Another voice comes in and says, "I've got the gun." I heard that.
Right. Anyway, all right. Thanks for the calls in there. 952 78 4000. A quick break and then back for it'll be the last 15 minutes of this morning's Viewpoint.
Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe with
Giles Brown.
And it's straight to the lines we go. Morning, caller, live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your Viewpoint, please?
Good morning, Giles. It's Andreas here.
Andreas, just when we thought it was safe to go back to the water.
I think everyone is getting muddled up here with this situation with ICE and the incident with this guy, whether he had a gun or not had a gun or whatever. Look, I think Peter needs to go to Specsavers because what we saw is very clear. The guy was executed. I don't know why we have to apologize to Peter because it was so evident that the guy was executed. It's unbelievable. And I'm really upset about this because it seems that we're backtracking on what we saw. What I said last week, he referred to something I said last week, is that it would have been very easy for the officers to reduce the man, handcuff him, and take him to a police station to process whether he's done something wrong. He could be processed like a normal criminal. But to kill him, to shoot at him and kill him on the floor, that was disgusting. And that's what's there. You know, you can't change an objective a comment on something that we saw with our own eyes. And I don't know why we have to backtrack and then go and apologize to someone who disagrees with that. Because I don't know, that it's undefendable what ICE did to this guy. That's what I wanted to say.
Thanks for your call in there, Andres.
Okay, thank you.
Are you off to see Melania today, by the way, the movie? Just wondering.
Well, I was just seeing that in Spain he took a total on the first weekend of 5,000 euros on the
5,000 euros. That's probably reading the European League of people who've seen Melania. To be honest with you,
it works out at 81 euros per cinema. So she hasn't been a blockbuster, let's say.
So on that note, thank you very much, Andrea. See you soon, my friend. Morning, calling live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your Viewpoint, please?
Charles, Peter again.
Peter, sorry, that was very, very loud in my ear. Yes, my friend.
Right, let's get this right. Because we're talking about the law. We're not talking about speculation, what we saw, what we didn't saw. We're talking about the law. And as John said, that apparently, according to the videos, I didn't know this, he was seen with a gun. He has an incident with ICE before. Now, the law states that in a concealed carry or any carry, you are obliged to tell the officer when what do you think you see in all the movies? I've had it myself in America. They ask you to step out of the car. They ask you, are you carrying any weapons? And you are legally obliged to say, yes, I have a concealed carry on me. You put your hands up and you tell them. They pat you down. Now, if he's known to them or even not known to them, his duty was to inform the officers that he was carrying a weapon, let alone 2 spare clips. So he had potentially 50 cartridges on him with an automatic pistol. And he's known to the law, whether they actually recognized him or that at that time. That is the law. And the law says that if he doesn't do that and interferes with an officer in the execution of his duty, then he can be shot. Now, whether like I said, nobody knows whether that gun went off. Nobody knows what the first shot was, when the first shot was fired, whether the police officer had ordered his gun or his own gun. All this has to come out in court, every bit of it. And for Andreas to keep coming on and saying this, he's seen a few seconds of something. He's not even talking about the law. I've seen minimum amounts of it. John just said what he saw, and that's more than I've seen. Because personally, I don't want to watch it. I want to see what happens in court. Yeah. And I would speculate that he will get off with it because you cannot. And don't forget, Andreas, we live in a country called Spain where it's illegal to film an officer in the execution of their duty. And if you do film an officer in the execution of the duty, you're in major trouble. So if a police officer is stopping someone and you film them, don't go into court and say, well, he was hitting the man. Because you're breaking the law. The law states that you cannot.
In every one of those videos, there was at least 3 or 4 people with their. Peter, we let you ramble on for the last 10 minutes. Do you mind if I just jump in here for a minute?
I don't want to know about the video. I want to know about the law.
You don't want to know about anything other than your own opinion. You could care less about what really happened there.
Now then.
Your opinion.
What is the law?
Right. Gentlemen,
what's the law?
Okay, thanks. Just a quick Pat Press nothing. What then of Carl Rittenberg, who took a semi-automatic weapon to protect Wisconsin and killed 2 men? Republicans lauded him as a hero. He's acquitted in 2021 and he now walks free. That is. I'm getting some more calls. Peter, thanks for your call in. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hi, Giles. It's Alf again.
Alf again?
Yeah, Alf again. That's my new name. I actually agree, which is very rare, with Peter, and including what Andreas is saying. I've seen loads of the video. I can make up my mind about what I think happened, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to a court somewhere. Did they say that guy's just been indicted or whatever it was? So he's going to appear in court.
What, Jonathan?
Anyway.
Not Jonathan Ross, but
whoever he is. And you just go, stop with the speculation. There's no point in falling out of each other over what you think you saw or what you think happened or what maybe could have happened. Or in Peter's case, he's very, absolutely rigid about this is what the law says. And you go, yeah, that's probably true, and I never saw any of that. That guy never said, I've got a gun. He never expressed anything. I mean, there was lots of struggles going on, especially when he kicked the lights out. Was that the previous day, wasn't it, or earlier in the day? None of that happened. So there's going to be lots and lots of cloudiness about this, and I agree with Peter. At the end of the day, it will be so cloudy. Like any call, it will be down to, can you absolutely 100% say this happened? And if you can't, then the guy is innocent. And I think that's what's going to happen in the whole of the process. So people should stop it. And Andreas, you may be right. And other people may be right. And John, what he saw may be right. And I may be right in what I saw. But at the end of the day, we have no say in it. We're just a little minuscule. What did I say? We were plankton. We're not even worth the conversation, to be honest. So, stop falling out of each other over something that's going to be taken out of our hands anyway. End of the soapbox.
Thanks very much for that one. Alf, always good to have you with us as well. Into the last 7 minutes of this morning's Viewpoint. Thanks, Alf. These are indeed the numbers if you want to get your viewpoint across.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Into the last 6 and a bit minutes of this morning's Viewpoint. This in. Who sent me stuff in? Ray? I'll come to that at the end. Thank you, Ray. That's brilliant. Just quickly, I seen the clips, and you clearly see the gun being removed before he was shot. Right, Sam. Morning, Sam. It's possible that blackmail shapes how power really works. Recent US presidents often come in guns blazing. No, not like that. Gun blazing about reform or draining the swamp. Oh, we've had that before. Excuse me, I got the laughing one. People defending the Gestapo /out ICE in any way is insanity. Thank you for that one. At the end of the day, who cares what we all think if we have no way to say it? At the end of the day, who cares what we all think if we have no say in it? Might as well be mute. ICE is going well beyond what the law states. It's cleared extrajudicial murder. I want to go on to my poll because for the first time here, I think we're going to have a whitewash here because at the moment I'm asking the question on the poll, should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson be forced to give evidence about their links to Epstein? At the moment, 100% of you think it absolutely should be. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yes, morning, Giles. It's Gary
morning,
here.
Gary.
Morning, panel. If you get all these silly people obstructing a lawful, a legal law enforcement agency, doing their lawful duties in a country where people have lots of guns, then surely the law of averages says this is going to happen now and again, isn't it? I mean, not enough is being made out. There was an incident the other day where an ICE agent was surrounded, having his car attacked, and he got out the car, apparently, and said, people, I'm going to arrest someone that sexually assaulted a child, blah, 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 blah. Are you stopping me from doing this? If these people are going to stand in the way and obstruct people, I can't really comment on this Peltz, is it, or whatever, the latest shooting. But obviously, I was going to say, he was no angel, was he? These people were made out to be angels. He was no angel. No, when you do stupid things, happens to stupid people. If these ICE agents are carrying out their lawful duties, and if they're not, or if someone disagreeing with it, go through the courts. But if you obstruct people, from what I saw, everyone said their little bit for what it's worth. As I say, in court, it's got to be untangled. But from what I saw, carrying on from John that called in, is that they took the gun from Pretty, who was on the floor. They took the gun away from him. Then something happened, and officers started shooting. If anything, what I took from that, if I was one of them officers, how many was there? About 9 of them? If I was one of them officers, I would have smacked the bloke that open fired on him purely because of the number of people who was in the vicinity. It was a lack of awareness and firearms discipline, as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks for your call. Thanks for your call, Gary. As always, good to have your Viewpoint with us. Right then, 952 78 4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is the way. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official. WhatsApp me, WhatsApp me +34 645 99 67 95. Just looking to see if we've got any other bits and pieces coming in before we shut up shop even, or shut up shop even, for what? Yeah, exactly. Let's leave them. Yeah, that's very easy to say. Let's leave them with a laugh as always. Melania, the movie. Come on, panel. The Guardian. The Guardian has been brilliant. The Guardian was hilariously brutal. It was already good, but they had a collection. They had a collection and a correction and clarification. The Guardian said that in my audience with Melania, but basically they had to say that he said last time he'd booked for Friday lunchtime at a retail park on the outskirts of Bristol, large cinema. There'd been the guest list included Mike Tyson, the Queen Rania of Jordan, and the President himself. Today he said that he'd be back for another look at it. It was just himself and Melania on screen. It was a much more intimate affair. Will you be? I mean, apparently it's not even in the so bad it's good sort of category of movies. But I mean,
well, one of the funniest things that I've seen is the cartoons that they're doing about it. And the one is the airplane where it says that Melania premiered on this aircraft, and half the people on the plane get up and walked away, and the other one was a picture of a cruise ship, and they were showing the movie in the cruise ship, and shows all these people jumping over the side of the cruise ship.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Guardian actually appended its correction to its review of the Melania documentary. It said the star rating for this film was corrected on the 2nd of February 2026. A formatting issue led to an earlier version to be awarded 1 star when the reviewer's intention was 0. So yeah. But apparently, if it's taking 5,000 in Spain in euros, I mean that would put it pretty much on the most.
Who put the money up for this?
Bezos.
Pardon?
Amazon.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the way that you buy. This is the way that you carry favour.
Yeah, but what was he thinking?
He's thinking he's going to get no hassle whatsoever from the Trumps in the future. Right. But I mean, this is again, this is the way that you get business.
Well, she got 28 million.
38.
38?
Yeah.
I thought it was 28.
It's 38.
Oh, okay.
Indeed. For that. I don't know if you saw the video where they actually, instead of Melania, they had Miss Piggy instead in the trailer. It works brilliantly.
That must be a world record on terms of return on investment.
There's another cartoon of a movie theater, and it says Melania at the headline, and next door is a root canal shop, and there's hundreds of people in the line waiting to go and get root canals.
Yeah, rather than that. Right, almost as of time. Just want to go on to having a look at what the poll said, and let's have a quick look at the poll that we had on the Facebook. Well, I say, never had that before. So, should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson be forced to give evidence about their links to Epstein? 100% of you said that. So there you go. Almost out of time. Thanks to my guests, Dr. Jerry Hagan.
Thank you, Charles. Been fun again.
And the nicest man in radio, Ronnie Yates.
Thank you very much for having me on this morning, Giles. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. This show will be repeated. You're going to have your rum rushing now, Noel. Go and enjoy the golf. This show will be repeated. What golf? This show will be repeated at 6 o'clock. Stephen Ritson is up next.
Lost in any way by Talk Radio Europe.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.